everybody, and welcome to my channel. I believe you have watched all from 1 to 35 videos of my lessons, and in this video I will be showing you all of 1 through 35 videos in one video. Let's get started. Now, here in my channel we will learn about the coding language Python, and I want to quickly show you guys something. So here is my certificate of completing Python, and I am a certified Python developer. Here is my certificate of achievement. This is awarded to Always Mel, me, for completing my Python AI class. Now let's get started. Here we will start off with a little bit of the background in Python. This is just a tiny bit of a big background. So Python was created by Guido van Rossum in 1991. So Python is a programming language known for its readability and simplicity. It's got its name from Monty Python comedy group. With an easy-to-understand style, Python became really popular for web development, data analysis, and more. It's now widely used by beginners and experts, making it one of the most popular programming languages today. Now, we got a brief look at what Python is, but now let's dig into it. So, what is Python? Python is a coding language that uses input and output to communicate with the computer. It uses the language to communicate with the computer. Input and output. So, input is the code you give into the computer, and the output is the answer of that code, the output of that code that comes out of the computer. And here's another way to define Python. Python is a general-purpose, interpreted, interactive, object-oriented, and high-level programming language. It is defined as object-oriented scripting language, a definition that blends support for the OOPs with an overall orientation towards scripting roles. So let's see why we use Python and what's so good about it that we use it for. It uses artificial intelligence, AI, and data analytics, the science of analyzing raw data to make conclusions about that information. Nextly, we have data visualization. And here we have many graphs, some pie graphs, and some charts, and some bar graphs. Now, let's see what else it's used for. It's also used for programming applications. Python applications have web development, software development, database access, game development, desktop application, education, network programming, and 3D graphics. Speaking of web development, Python is used for web development. Here we have CSS, PHP, SQL, Java, and there's some bar graphs in the back. Something's loading, 43%, and then we have game development. Now we have language development. Last but not least, search engine optimization, SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, which has www, which uses performance measurement, ranking, search, content, links, target groups, and marketing. Now, let's see why we use Python. Why Python? Python is very beginner friendly. It's really easy if it's your first coding language, but it's also easy even if it's your second, third, fourth. And for example, here is a code to print Hello Python. Now, let's say you want to print Hello Python, and you don't know how to do that. It's very simple. Like I said, Python is very beginner friendly. So, how you use it is you use the print method. The print method prints anything you want it to. So you use a print method, print, then you put round brackets, or you may call them parentheses. Then you put double quotes. You can also use single quotes. It gives out the same output. Then you write what you want to say. And for this example, it's Hello Python. So now let's enter it. It's going to print us Hello Python, exactly how we wrote it in our code. So I just want to quickly show you how simple and easy Python could be. It's the most popular in the machine learning world, like we said in our brief background. And then it has the most mature libraries. So libraries, as in your information from the code, within the code, is stored inside a library. And so are values from a variable. Now, it's very versatile and flexible. It's very flexible. It does whatever you want it to do. Now let's learn, why is Python the most popular language? Here are 8 different reasons. And we have all 4 of the major reasons of why Python, like on our last class. So it's easy and simple, it's efficient, it has diverse libraries and framework, it's versatile, vast community, there's a big community using this, it's portable and extendable, it's very flexible, and it's used for documentation. And I have 2 charts up. Each chart has different information, and these charts have been created at different times. This one, I think, is created not that long ago. And this one, I think, not too long ago, not too short period of time, like somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Now, our first graph is going to be our horizontal bar graph. And this graph has data of, there's 11 different languages that we're going to see right now. There's Python, and you can see it's 4.1% increasing, and is used by 29.9%. And then Java is 19.1, and it's going down, it's decreasing, negative 1.8. JavaScript is increasing by 0.1. It is 8.2, and so on and so on, all the way to TypeScript, which is the last one. Now, TypeScript is 1.8, which is 0.3, increasing. So right now, since all of them are decreasing by a lot, TypeScript can be a little higher if this yearly trend wasn't too long ago. Now our second one is going to be a pie graph, which the black piece, this not the Android browser, but the Python right here, is 25.12%. And the least amount is Samsung browser, which is 1.22%. Second least is Microsoft Edge. And then, what are Python variables? What are variables? So now let's start with our example variable. Now let's learn what a variable is. So our example variables can contain 3 symbols: an X, an arrow, and a hunter block. The X is the name of the variable. The arrow is what we use in Python, the equal sign. And the hunter block is the value of the X. So you can make another variable. Let's write car name. So now we're going to add a few values to this car name variable. So value number 1, don't forget about the single quotes. So we have V for Volvo. Now we add the closing single quote and then comma, B for BMW, comma, and then we have K for Kia. Here, this is what the memory of, this is like how they store it, and this is the variable. Name equal to edu or education Riga. A equal to 10, B equal to 20, A equal to 10, B equal to 20, name equal to education Riga. Here are some do's and don'ts on naming variables. Start with a letter, any letter, or the underscore. Don't ever start with numbers. Don't use special characters except underscore. Don't use keywords. Only use numbers and letters and underscores. As we said, we can't use keywords, and so here are some keywords in Python for you guys to memorize or to take a picture or something like that. So we have and, def, false, import, not, true, as, del, finally, in, or, try, assert, L if, for, is, past, while, break, else, from, lambda, print, with, class, except, global, none, raise, yield, continue, x, if, non-local, and return. Now let's learn how to download Python. I'm going to use Google Chrome. You can use any of the browser you like. So let's get started. But the thing is that I have Apple, like a MacBook. And if you guys have like Windows or Chromebook or like PCs or like something like that, if you guys have a different type of laptop, I would recommend for you guys to like pause this video when we start the downloading part. Go to another video that downloads Python on your type of computer, and then come back to my video when we're done with the downloading. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Python download website, and the Python download website, how you get to it is you go on your browser and you write download Python. You'll find a website that says download Python. Then let's go to the next steps when you're done. Now we're going to have the installer pop up. We're at continue. And then we're going to click continue. You can read all of this, so like history and life and different things. And then you click agree. And then you click install. Some of you might need to put in your password for your computer, but I didn't need to, so it's gonna start installing. And then it's gonna say writing files and like moving items into place, running package scripts, and it's gonna tell you how much time left, install time remaining. It says less than a minute. And then it can also go down to 10 seconds, but it didn't do that. So here we have our IDLE, which we use to write codes. Now let's learn about if-else statements. Make a Python if-else statement. B equals 10, A equals 5. And if B is greater than A, print B is greater than A. Else, print B and A are equal. B is equal to A. Now the way how we do that is by using this. This is how we make an if-else statement about A and B, 5 and 10. So here we have our first variable. Here we have our second. So we have a V for variable and S for statement. So we have the if statement and the else statement. And so we start off, if B is greater than A, print B is greater than A. Now else, print A and B are equal. As an output, our output would have been this sentence right here, right? This would have been our answer. Now let's move on to our next slide, which is our print hello world output in input. Guess what? Now we're going to start to use IDLE from Python because we have downloaded Python. Now we are going to search IDLE or idle. Now we're going to click on the image. Our IDLE shell has Python 3.11.4, the new, version you got. We're gonna go and see our first code we will be using, which is our Python if-else statement. We are going to be coding that for the first time. We're going to start with this one because I have something to show you all. Print, and always don't forget P is lowercase. Print. Now it's going to print hello world. Now we're going to try that one more time. But this time I'm going to use single quotes, hello world. Now same is 2 exclamation, and then single quotes, and then closing our parenthesis with our closing parenthesis. It's going to print the same thing. Either if you have double quotes or single quotes, it's going to print the same thing. Now we will start off with our variable for our if-else statement. We are going to start off with the variable a is equal to 5. B is equal to 10. Here's your code, and now that I have finished it, we're going to see what it prints. B is greater than A, like I said. Now, another thing is, if we look at the keywords in Python, we can see we have both of the if-else statements, words, if and else. Now we have our third if-else statement, word, which is elif. Elif is short for else. If stands for else and if. So if there's an if statement, but it does not have enough statements, you can use the else if statement. Now, I didn't want it to make it too complicated, so I didn't tell you guys about the else if, but now I am. We could have made else if and make an if-else statement. A is equal to 5 and B is equal to 10. If B is greater than A, print B is greater than A. Else A and B are equal, elif A is greater than B. But I didn't want to make it too complicated since since you guys are just beginners. I chose to do just 2 of all 3. So now let's look at a simple question. It looks like the same thing as the picture we just saw of the code that we talked about, but it's not, and there are 2 mistakes. So the answers are, we forgot to put some space before the print. So what I mean is, like, if we go here to idle idea, we're just gonna write B is greater than A. Yeah, we got a syntax error right before we even finished it. So that means, so you can tell that we have to add a tab. So that is our first. These are 2 mistakes. Same thing, but just in 2 places right there. Except for the else, not the else. The else should be exactly where the if is. And we will go to idle, as we did, and now I'm going to test you if you remember everything. Now let me print. Right. So what is the syntax error right now what I have created? What is wrong with the print? If you said the P is uppercase and it should be lowercase, you are correct. Now, wait, let's see what else. And another question is the if. What's wrong with the if? Why isn't it yellow or orange like that one? Because I made it uppercase as well. And so, like, this is like for all the videos I've created, what is a Python variable? Now, if you said a Python variable is like something that stores information, stores a variable, like if we had a variable named car names, and we had all those different names of the car, and then all those other things, and then we create, and then we would have a variable in a library, which is called car names. And if you guys are forgetting some things, it's okay. This is new. So I would also recommend to rewatch each video until you completely understand the process, you completely understand like what we have learned for now. So now let's learn about comments and how to make them. How we create a comment is very simple, and here's how. So we first make a hashtag and then write what you want to write. Here in this case, they wrote hashtag this is a comment. Print hello world. Now the answer for this should be hello world, not this is a comment, because that comment is a comment. Comments are used for like things, words that you don't want to be in the code, like for instructions of what the code parts are and instructions on how to use the code and this and that. Parts of writing that you don't want in your code to mess up your project and your thing you have created with Python. Now, after our IDLE lesson and our practice with this comment, I'm going to be showing you guys something special, mysteriously secret. Now, today, before our question, I'm going to have something that will help you guys, this website that will help you guys learn Python more efficiently, really good, and it helps you a lot. This is how I learn my Python. I think it's very good. It's very nice. And there's even some boot camps and this and that to learn Python. And it has every single coding language, including HTML, C#, and then any script like JavaScript, Java, this and that. Okay, now we will get started with our IDLE project, which I already have written down everything that this may not look a lot. I just wanted to show you guys that how comments work. You write hashtag yay, print Python, hashtag yay Python, print I love Python, and we'll show I love Python instead of yay Python, because it's like that comment is like a secret. So you're just telling the computer, not, hey computer, I just want to show you this, but don't tell it to anyone. Yay Python, it's going to say. And then it's going to say, print, I love Python. And then the computer's like, should I save the yay Python? You're like, no. And so he says, I love Python. So, as I said, I will be showing you guys something. Here, it's called W3 Schools. I have been learning Python on this. I'm going to log in. And then, okay. So, here it tells you your progress. It says, hi, your name, Python. I have completely finished Python. So that's why there's a check mark right there. And I am going to so you read the tutorial. The tutorial is all of these. And then you have your exercises, take the quiz, and then you take your course. Now, after your course, you go to certificate, and I have completed the certificate like I showed you in our first class. So now here, everything that I've taught you is in here. So most of my things, here we're at numbers, this and that, all tuples and stuff. So when we go to read tutorial, I'm going to click on that. It has everything, literally everything. Here we're on comments, and it has this and that. There's also multi-line comment. This comment is written more than one line. It's just going to say hello world. I wanted to show you guys that, but instead, I thought a good way of showing you was by using W3 Schools. And so here is a comment with that is written in more than one line. Here are some of the coding languages. When you go to tutorials, you have HTML, CSS. There are also exercises. So for each thing we learn, in the end here after. So it should be in Python references. At the end, there's a Python glossary of every single thing you will have learned in this website. So for today, I just want you guys for explore it, and I will be teaching by this now from now on. Well, I have been, and we are going to learn from this website. And now let's learn about Python numbers. There are three numeric types in Python. What are the three numeric types? Now, this is a picture from W3 Schools. I have been taking my pictures mostly from there. And there's an integer, a float, a complex. Int stands for integer, and float is the whole word, and complex. The difference between integer, float, and complex, you should know if you have read the full article about numbers in the Python W3 Schools tutorial. X equal to 1, 1 is an integer because it's a full number. Y equal to 2.8, which is a float, which has as many decimals as you need it to have. Z is 1j, a complex. I just added a j in the end. So first, we're going to go to IDLE. We will be testing out this. We're going to make it w equal to 1 and x equal to 28. And y equal to 1j. Now we're going to combine all of those, which is going to be z equal to, no, actually, I'm going to do it a different way. Now print w plus x plus y. And close. On print. It should print 3.8 plus 1j. It says 3.8 because 1 plus 2 equals 3 and 0.8 and 1j, which is not going to be added up because of the j. Since we have tried that out, we are going to go to your whichever browser you want to use. I'm going to be going to Google Chrome. Go to W3. I am not logged in, but that is okay. We're going to go to numbers, int or integer. It's a whole number, positive or negative, without any decimals. A float is a number with one or more decimal. And a complex number are written with a j as an imaginary part. So now we're going to learn about a code that converts all of the types into an integer. Now let's learn about what was the answer for this question. Now this, as we learned our Python numbers. We have three numeric numbers in Python: the integer, float, and complex. If you guys don't know this, maybe you may or may have not skipped my previous lesson. Our previous lesson was about Python numbers and explaining what the three differences are for these three numbers. Well, number types. I would really recommend for you guys to watch it. It's very, very short. That's the answer. 1, 2, 3, just the answer. Even though in our question we had floats. A float, and if you have not watched it, a float is a number with any more than one decimal. And here, x equal to 1, which is an integer 1, integer 1, y integer 1, y integer 2.8, and z integer 3. It's just saying make all these numbers into integers, or int. Print x, y, and z, which will be 1, 2, and 3, because even though 3 has double quotes, 2 is a float, and 1 is already an integer, it's going to turn 1, 2, and 3 into integers. So now we're in Python tutorial. we are in the Python casting stage. Now, you may go over each one until Python casting. If you have forgotten some of our recent lessons that I have taught you, here in Python, we have a lot of examples that you can try. In 3 schools, there's a lot of examples you can try it yourself. You just click on that green button, try it yourself, and you get to try out the code. I'm going to be reading what this says. It just says, specify a variable type. There may be times when you want to specify a type on to a variable. This can be done with casting. Python is object-oriented language, and as such, it uses classes to define data types, including primitive types. Casting in Python, therefore, is done using constructor functions. We have integer and float from numbers, but we have a new one called string. A string constructs a string with wide variety of data types, including strings, integers, literals, and float literals. Now, we are going to be seeing our string because we have already exampled our floats and integers in our last lesson. Now, a string, these are all already strings. To show you the same thing, strings can be used, and S1 isn't what you call a complex because it's not a J, but S is just something you also add on there sometimes. So that's what we will be talking about today. Today we will not be using IDLE. So another thing about W3 schools I would love to tell you guys is always sign up in it. So because you will lose track of your progress, how good you're getting, all of that. So always sign up. Now let's learn what is going to be the output of this code. You guys might kind of be confused because 4 and 2 are decimals and they are floats, but 1 and 3 aren't. And you might be like, how did that integer become a float? How did that whole number become a decimal? 1.0 is the same thing as 1. So just adding that 0 in the end with that decimal point just makes it into a float, which they don't need to add an extra number except the 0 because 1.0 is the same value as 1. Same for the 3.0 is the same value as 3. That's why you have that 0.0 at the end, because it is a decimal. It's turned into a decimal, but an easier way of saying this is just 3. That we will be going a little more in Python, and we're going to go through these 2 codes that we skipped, the integer and the string. As a refresh, these 3 things are integers, floats, and strings. INT stands for integer, float stands for float, no difference, and STR stands for string. Now, the STR parenthesis constructs a string from a wide variety of data types, including strings, integers, literals, and float literals. So a string, it has a wide variety of data types. So there's integers and floats in a string. You can construct it in a string. And now, our first example is going to be an integer. Now, since we have floats in here right now, it's gonna turn that float into an integer. That means in a float, we turned 1 and 3 into a float. But here in an integer, you turn 2.8 just into 2. And our next one is going to be the string, which in a string, it's just going to keep the same. So, as I said, in a string, it's going to be the same thing. A string can keep a float, as it said. It can have an integer. Now we're going to move on to Python strings, which will have our homework in there. And here in Python, strings in Python are surrounded by either single quotes or double quote marks. So, as I said, hello world with single quotes and double quotes is the same thing. It's going to print the literal same thing. Now you can assign a string to a variable saying A is equal to hello, print A. And you can use a multi-line string by saying A equal to, and then 3 double quotes in a row, and then print A. Now, you can also do 3 single quotes in a row. And it's going to print lorem ipsum dolor sit, and so on and so on. So now we will get to the IDLE part. Now today we are going to be trying out our assign string to a variable, the 3 different ways of doing that. So here's the code, and when we print it, it's going to print this. It's going to print I love Python, yay! See, if you can look at that, that's like a kind of heart. It's like, that's the bottom and the 3 is the top. And then we're going to try out a 3 double quotes. Oh, sorry, I forgot the equal sign. Never forget the equal sign. 3 double quotes. Don't make the A uppercase. Okay. Print it. It's the same thing. It's gonna like say what you wanted it to say. These are just random letters. Now let's learn how you loop through a string. So here today we are going to we're looping through the letter of the word banana. So it's going to spell B-A-N-A-N-A, banana. Now we're going to go down. So what comes out is banana, all spelled in different rows. So it's just 4x in banana. So X actually represents the characters in that loop. We'll learn more about that in the for loop section of Python. Now for X in banana, print X. Banana. So we're gonna run that. It's going to spell banana. We're learning about string length. To get the length of the string, use the len function, L-E-N. The len function returns the length of a string. A equal to hello world, print len hello world. It's going to print 13. And now we are going to move on. Now let's learn about slicing. You can return a range of characters by using a slice syntax. So specify the start index and the end index separated by colon to return a part of the string. So it's just talking about the code. Get the characters from position 2 to position 5, not included. So it's just saying position 5 is not going to be included, but position 2, everything from 2 to 3 to 4 is going to be included, but not 5. So that's like what the not included part is for, if you are getting confused right now. So now we know the definition of Python slicing, so let's get started to the code. So we always start with H as a 0. So that means 2 is going to be L, and then it says in between 2 and 5. Well, not in between, but start at 2 and end at the number before 5, which is going to be LLO. That's the answer. So, and we're going to go to the part called Slice from Start. If you are on your computer or iPad or phone, probably computer. But if you are on one of those, I would want you to go to W3 schools and go along with me. That's going to be how we learn from now on. It's not just me talking. You're going to be also going on W3 schools. Unless I am on like slides like we did in the first few lessons. So now we are learning the slice from start by leaving at the index. The range will start at the first character. The first character is 0 because it always is 0. Python. Now we're going to go to the example and we're going to try it ourselves. So it's b equal to hello world. Just the different thing is there's no 2, 5. It's just 5. So that means it says anything above 5, go. Like everything above 5, go. So that's just the whole point of this piece of code. So now let's learn what is the output of this code. It's just b equal to hello world, print everything beyond number 2. So number 2 would be LLO. So that would be LLO, comma, space, WORLD, and then exclamation mark. So that's like everything beyond 2 just print. So now we're going to move on, and so let's start off with the negative indexing. So negative indexing is use negative indexes to start the slice from the end of the string. Example is get the characters from O in world position -5 to, but not included, D in world position -2. Let's try it out. So it's going to print oral or ORL. So it's going to print that because in the other one it was 2 to 5. But in this one it's -5 to -2. So it's a complete opposite. So it's just saying print anything after W, but print anything before G and exclamation mark. So it would print oral. Okay, so now we're going to test it out in IDLE. Here's the code. Printing it, it's going to print oral like it's supposed to. Now let's learn what is the output of this code. And the output of this code, which is a equal to hello world print a dot upper, is going to be an uppercase hello world because upper stands for uppercase. And how you code it is a equal to hello world. You know how to do that. Print parenthesis a dot upper parenthesis and closing parenthesis. Now let's try out the second code under that. Everything is the same, but it's just going to turn out lowercase, not upper. Hello world, lowercase. So that means a equal to hello world, you know that. Print parenthesis a dot lower parenthesis and then closing parenthesis. So same thing, but it's just a lower or upper. And if you want to remove any white space from the beginning and or the end, so white space, if you don't know what that is, white space is a space before and or after the actual text. And very often you want to remove the space. So you don't want the space. See, as if you can see, here there's like the space in between the double quotes, and you don't want that space. You just use the strip. So instead of upper or lower, keep the same code, take out the upper or lower, and then write strip. So string and then IP, str, IP. So that's the white space and all those. So now you want to replace a string. What if we made the string hello world, but now you want to replace the hello world into jello world. So change the H into a J. You would use the replace. So same thing, the code, print, so A equal to hello world, print, parenthesis, A dot replace, and then parenthesis inside it, you're going to do double quotes, H, double quotes, comma, space, double quotes, J, double quotes, parenthesis, and then closing parenthesis. And then you would get Jello World. But now I want to replace it with peekaboo. Peekaboo, that's just like a really random thing. Peekaboo. I'm going to replace H with peekaboo. Peekaboo, hello world. That's like a very different sentence we can say. Now let's learn what is the output of this code. It's going to return square brackets, hello world, hello, comma, world. So let's move on to string concatenation. To concatenate or combine two strings, use the add operator. The add operator is just that plus symbol. So what I mean is an example is merge variable A with variable B into variable C. So A would be equal to hello, B would be equal to world, C would be A plus B, which is hello world. We all know that without looking at the answers, which is pretty easy. So if you look at inside of the code, it's going to print us hello world, no space. But if we add space to the beginning of world or to the end of hello, it's going to do hello space world. How we have format strings. And format strings, as we learned in Python variables chapter, we cannot combine strings and numbers like this. You can combine strings and strings and numbers, but you can't combine numbers and strings just like this. But you can combine it with the format method. That's what the format method is for. The format method takes the passed arguments, formats them, and places them where the string, in the string where the placeholders, the curly brackets are. Now you are going to use the format to insert numbers into a string. We're going to do age equal to 36, text, my name is John, and I am double quotes. Now print, parenthesis, open parenthesis, text, txt, dot, format, another open parenthesis, age, and then parenthesis, and then your closing parenthesis. Now the format method takes unlimited numbers of argument. They're placed in respective placeholders. The quantity is 3, the item number is 567, and the price is $49.95, or $49.95, or $49.95. I want curly braces or curly brackets, pieces of item curly brackets for curly bracket dollars. Open parenthesis, my order dot format, open parenthesis again, quantity, comma, item number, comma, price, close parenthesis, and another close parenthesis. And it's going to print, I want 3 pieces of item 567 for $49.95. Now let's learn about what are escape characters. And so you use an escape character when you want to insert a character that is illegal to a string. An escape character is a backslash followed by the character you want to insert. An example of an illegal character is double quote inside of a string that is surrounded by double quotes. So an example is, here we have the text called, we are the so-called Vikings from the north. Now we have the word Viking in between two double quotes. Now to fix this problem, we have to use an escape character, because if we printed this, it would give us an error. So our escape character we are using is a slash double quotes. Now that is the escape character we are using. So the escape character allows you to use double quotes when you normally wouldn't be allowed. So here's a text via the so-called escape character, Vikings escape character from the north. Now it's gonna give us, we are the so-called Vikings without the slashes from the north, and it won't give us an error. So here are the escape characters. There are many escape characters. Now we move on to string methods. All these methods are actually all the methods that we have learned currently in our Python strings chapter. So in the Python strings chapter, there are 6 tiny chapters about strings. And so today we're going to start off with a new topic. The new topic is Booleans. So Booleans represent one of 2 values, true or false. A Boolean value in programming, you often need to know an expression when it's true or false. You can evaluate any expression in Python and get one of these 2 answers, true or false. When you compare 2 values, the expression is evaluated in Python returns the Boolean answer. An example is print 10 is greater than 9. True. Print 10 is equal to 9. When you write equal, you have to make 2 equals or else it looks like a variable, which is false, and 9 is greater than 10, also false. Now we can make one more. That is how we write not equal to in Python, and it's going to give us true. So that's one thing that's an example. When you run a condition in an if statement, Python returns true or false as well. And here, this is A equal to 200, B equal to 33. B is greater than A, or B is not greater than A. We have done something similar to this. We have made code which was A is equal to 5, B is equal to 10, if A is greater than B, print A is greater than B, else print A and B are equal. Now, evaluate values and variables. The bool function allows you to evaluate any value and gives you a true or false in return. So here it's print boolean. The bool, hello, print bool 15, which is true. You can also evaluate 2 variables, which also would be true. Now we move on to operators. Python operators. Operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. In the example below, we use the add operator to add things together. Print 10 plus 5, which will be 15. Now, if you do something like, it's going to print 105, because the computer thinks the 5 and 10 are actually a string. They don't think it's an actual number, so it's going to print whatever it has. Now, Python divides the operators in the following group: arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logical operators, identity operators. And we have membership operators and bitwise operators. Now, the arithmetic operators is performed to use mathematical operations, and the assignment operators are used to assign values to variables. The comparison operators are used for booleans. Now we have the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than, greater than, not equal, and equal. Now we also use these in booleans as well. We have logical operators, which are and, or, and not. We have identity operators, which is and is not. We have membership operators, which is in and not in. Bitwise operators, and, or, XOR, not. Zero fill left shift, signed right shift. And we have many operators. We have examples for all the operators. Now we have each of our arithmetic operators, which are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, expedition, and floor division. Now we will probably be mostly using division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. But it's also a good thing to learn all of them, just in case you need it. An example is addition, subtraction. Addition and subtraction has the same precedence, and therefore we evaluate the expression from right to left. Left to right. And here we have some more examples. Operator precisions. Now our it describes an order in which operators are performed. Now we add the parenthesis, so 6 plus 3 equals 9 minus 6 plus 3, which also equals 9. And then a list is sorted to multiple items in a single variable, and it has 4 built-in data types Python used. There are 3 others called tuples, set, and dictionaries, which are different quantities and usages. Lists are created using square brackets. List items. So it just says lists are orderable, changeable, and allows duplicate members. Lists are indexed, and the first item has index of 0, and the second item is 1. Now, when we say they're ordered, it means that it has a defined order. The order will never change. If you add new items, the items will be placed at the end of the list. There are some list methods that will change order, but in general, the order of items will not change. Changeable. The list is changeable, meaning that we can change, which means add or remove items in a list that has been created. Allows duplicate, since they're indexed. Lists have items with the same value. An example with duplicates is that we have 2 apples and 2 cherries, but 1 banana. And it won't give an error because they allow duplicate members. Now, a list length, you can find the length by using the len function. And we print len this list. Our length is 3. Now, it means that it has 3 different items, and in this list, even though it's indexed, you can also say 3 list items and data types. List items can be used. List items can be of any data type. It is banana, apple, cherry list, and then we have 1, 5, 7, 9, 3, true, false, false, and then a list can contain different data types. A list with strings, integers, and Boolean values. ABC 34, true, 40, male. Now, type. From a Python's perspective, lists are defined as objects with data types list. Class list. An example. What is the type of a list? Now, from the Python perspective, the lists are defined with the data type list. What is the data type of this list? And it outputs class list. The list constructor. It is also possible to use the list constructor when creating a new list. Example, using the list constructor to make a list. Now, here, this list is apple, banana, cherry. Print this list. It's going to print apple, banana, cherry. So, the list Python collection arrays. Python collection arrays. There are 4 collection data types in the Python programming language. These are the differences in between each one. Now here in list, you allow duplicate members. It's changeable, ordered, and it uses square brackets. But in tuple, it also allows duplicate members, but it's not changeable. It's also ordered, but this one uses round brackets. The dictionary, no duplicate members, but it's changeable and indexed. It's unordered and it uses curly brackets. And a set, same thing, but it cannot be changed, but it can be added, not indexed. In a set, no duplicate members, unordered, and curly brackets. The data structure is list, tuple, set, and dictionary. List and tuple are ordered, and set and dictionary are not. List, set, and dictionary are mutable, but tuple is not. The constructor is square. For list, the constructor is square brackets or list parenthesis. For tuple, it's round brackets or tuple parenthesis. For set, it is curly brackets or set parenthesis. And the last one is for dictionary, which is curly brackets or dict, which is short for dictionary, parenthesis. The set items are unchangeable, but you can remove and or add items whenever you like. As of Python version 3.7, dictionaries are ordered. In Python 3.6 and earlier, dictionaries are unordered. And on the third video, I told you guys to get the newest version. And the newest version is, for me, it's 3.11.7, I think. I'm pretty sure it's that, but it would be more than 3.7. Now, it's good to know which one you have, because maybe you accidentally got an earlier one, which is not ordered. So here in this one, it says dictionaries aren't ordered, but now they are ordered. Now, as we move on, so now we start off with Python access items. Now, list items are indexed and you can access them by referring to the index number. Example, print the second item of the list. This list, apple, banana, and cherry. You would write 1 because the note right here, it's also written the first item has index of 0 because you are using index. Now, negative indexing, which is also something as well. Negative indexing means start from the end. So, negative 1 refers to the last one. Now, as an example, you print the last item on the list. You would write negative 1. But now, another thing is we have ranges of indexes. You can specify a range of indexes by specifying where to start and where to end the range. When specifying a range, the return value will be a new list with a specified item. Example, return the third, fourth, and fifth item. You would start with number 2, which means, so the first number would be which item after that number you want to use. The last number or the second number would be the item you wanted to end on, which since it would be cherry, orange, kiwi, because of apple, banana. This will return the items from position 2 to 5, but remember that the first item is position 0, and not that the item's position is 5, which is not included. Not included. Now, as we move on, we will go back to access items. Note to yourself, the search will start at index 2 included and end at index 5 not included. Remember that the first item has to be index 0. By leaving out the start value, the range will start at the first item. This example returns the item from the beginning not included, which is kiwi. By leaving out the end values, the range will go on until the end of the list. By leaving out the end values, the range will go on to the end of the list. Example. This example returns the item from cherry to the end. Our next thing we learn is that the range of negative indexes specify negative indexes if you want to start the search from the end of the list. Example. This example returns the item from orange -4, but not including a mango -1. Check if an item exists. To determine if a specified item is present, in the list we use the in keyword. And if you guys don't remember keywords are the words and, def, false, import, not, true, as, del, finally, in, or, try, assert, elif. For is pass, while, break, else, from, lambda, print, with, class, except, global, non, raise, yield, continue, if, non-local, and return. Now we will get back to it. We will be using the in keyword to check if apple is present in the list. If apple in list, so the list is apple, banana, and cherry. And in Python, you might have a huge list you're right now making. It might be about types of dogs. So it might be Pomeranian, Pomsky, Siberian Husky, Chocolate Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever, Chocolate Labrador. And you're trying to see if you added Chocolate Labrador. So, and you want to check if you wrote down Chocolate Lab. Now you would say if apple in the name of your list. So this list is called this list. And then, so if it is, print, yes, apple is in fruits list. And then if it wasn't, it's a good thing to add the else. No tab when you write else. No, you forgot apple in your list. And let's switch out apple to... No, you forgot to put apple in your list, which is true. If I had a huge list of every single fruit on earth, and if I forgot apple and I was supposed to send it to someone and they find that I forgot apple, it's not going to be good because I don't want to write it all over again. So you can just check by writing if apple is, or if whatever you're looking for is in the name of your list. Print, yes, whatever you're looking for is in the whatever type of list you're making. Else, print, no, you forgot to put whatever you're looking for in your list. And I just made a lot of exclamation marks because I love exclamation marks. Or you can call them exclamation points. So, as we move on, what is going to be the output of this code? Now, the output is apple, blackcurrant, and cherry. So you guys might not know what a blackcurrant is. This is a blackcurrant. It tastes like strong type of flavor, and this is what it looks like. Now you know what a blackcurrant is. You might be confused, like, how did a banana change into a blackcurrant? And like, how does that happen? So what happens is, because if you your list is this list and you want to change the second item, banana, to blackcurrant, or if you're making 100 different dog species. So let's say you wanted to change Labrador into Pomeranian and you have a really long list. You would do this list 1 equal to Pomeranian, print this list. Now if you want to change a range of the items, you would do just like how you print the different items. You would go from 1 to 3. So you would want to change the values banana and cherry to the values black currant and a watermelon. A second way is by replacing replacing it with the two new values. So if you insert more items to replace, the new items will insert where you specified, and remaining item will move accordingly. The note is the length of the list will change when numbers of items insert does not match the numbers of items replaced. Change the second and third value by replacing it with one value. Now you want to take out 2 and number 3, and you want to put watermelon in it. It would say apple and watermelon. Now if you want to insert items, to insert a new item without replacing any existing values, you can use the insert method. Now the insert method, it would insert the specified in the specified index or the specified location of where you want to put it. Now to insert the watermelon as the third item, you would write number 2 because, as a note, always, the first index is always going to be 0. Another note, as a result of the example above, the list will now contain 4 items. Now we will move on to add list items. To add an item to the end of the list, use the append method. Okay, so now let's see the output of this code. And the output of this code is going to be apple, banana, cherry, and orange. Because when you append a list without giving any index, like where you put it, without giving it, when you use the append method, it's gonna, either way, it's gonna be at the end of the list. When you insert items, you can use the insert method. The insert method adds it in a specified index. A note to self is as a result in the examples above, the list will now contain 4 items. If you want to extend a list to append elements from another list to the current list, you use the extend method. Now you want to add the elements of tropical to this list. It's gonna go for apple, banana, and cherry, mango, pineapple, papaya. So yes, apple, banana, cherry, because you added this list. So you did this list dot extend tropical instead of doing tropical dot extend this list. Then we print this list. If we did tropical extend this list, we would print tropical. Nextly, add any iterable. The extend method does not have to append list. You can use an iterable object to tuple sets, dictionaries, and more, and add an element to the tuple to the list. So you can do this list, square brackets, apple, banana, and cherry. This tuple, round brackets, kiwi, and orange. Extend this tuple, and it works also on dictionaries and sets as well. Now to remove list items, to remove a specified item, the remove method removes the specified item. Remove banana. You would remove it, and now the banana would be gone. For the remove specified index, use a pop method. Also removes the specified index. If you want to remove the second item, you can pop it, and which would be left over with apple and cherry. So you can use the remove method to remove a specified item, but you can use the pop method to remove a specified index. If you do not specify the index, the pop method removes the last item. So for this one, it will remove cherry instead of banana. The del keyword also removes the specified index. Example, to remove the first item, you use del this list. So this list, you make your variable of your list. Then you do del space this list, square brackets with 0 inside. Then you print this list, and then your apple will be removed. The del keyword can also delete the list completely when you just write del this list. To clear the list, the clear method empties lists. The list remains but no content in the list. So if we try it, it won't print anything because there's nothing in the list, because we use the clear method. Now, we're in loop lists. To loop through a list, you can use the for loop. Now, if you want to learn more about for loops, stick to my channel, because we're going to go through each and every of these. So we are going through the while loop and the for loop. Loop through the index numbers. You can use the range and len function to create a suitable iterable. What is the answer of this code? Now this code is going to be apple, banana, and cherry because we are looping through and using a while. You can loop through the list item by using a while loop. Use the len function to determine the length of a list. Start at 0 and loop your way through. Remember to increase the index by 1 after each iteration. Print all items while using the while loop. To go through all the index numbers, and this one also will be apple, banana, cherry, all stacked on top of loop using list comprehensions. List comprehensions offers the shortest syntax for looping through lists. A shorthand for loop will print all the items in the list. Learn more about this in the next chapter, list comprehensions. List comprehension offers a short syntax when you create a new list based on value of an existing list. Example, based on a list of fruits, you want a new list containing the only fruits with the letter A in the name. Without list comprehension, you would have to write a for statement with a conditional test inside. With list comprehensions, you can do that with only one line of code. Now, the syntax, the return of the value is the new list, leaving the old list unchanged. The condition is like a filter that only accepts the value to true. Evaluate to true. Example, only accept items that are not apple. The condition if x is not equal to apple will return true for all the other elements other than apple, making a new list with all the fruits except apple. The condition is optional and can be omitted. Example, with no if statement, you're going to have a 3-line code. The iterable. The iterable can be any iterable object, like a list, tuple, set, and dictionary. You can use the range function to create an iterable. Same example, but with a condition expression. The expression is the current item in the iteration, but is also outcome which you can manipulate. It ends up like a list item in the new list. An example is set the value in the new list to uppercase. You can set the outcome to whatever you would like. Set all values to the new list to hello. The expression can also contain conditions, not like a filter, but as a way to manipulate the outcome. Example, return orange instead of banana. The expression of the example above says return the item if it's not a banana. If it is a banana, return to orange. So so maybe when I said return orange instead of banana, you might think maybe they're gonna add orange instead of banana. But return the item if it's not a banana. If it is a banana, return to orange is what it means. Now, our next one is sort lists alphanumerically. List objects have a sort method that will sort the list alphabetically, accessing by the default. So if you want to make it alphabetically, you can just use this code. So it's going to be, so we don't have A, so we would go to B, and then we don't have C, D, or E, F, G, H, I, J, but we have K, and then L, no L, M, we have M, no N, but O, P, but no Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now, our last thing is if you want to sort it numerically, it would be sorted as 50, 65, 23, 50, 65, 82, and then 100. Now, sort it decently. To sort it decently, you would use the keyword argument reverse equal to true. So the whole point about this code is to go oppositely, so not alphabetically, but the opposite of alphabetical. What is the answer of this code? Now, let's check. So this code is just saying, it's going to say the reverse of the sort method. So sort makes it 23, 50, 65, 82, and 100. But using the reverse equal to true, it's going to turn into 100, 82, 65, 50, and 23. So the exact opposite. And now we will move on to sort list items, customize sort function. You can also customize your own function by using the keyword argument key equal to function. The function will return a number that will be used to sort the list, the lowest number first. Def my function return A, B, C, and negative 50. Sort the list based on how close the numbers to 50. This lists 150, 65, 82, and 23. Sort key my func. And now def my func, and so my function, and return ABC and the whole code that we just said. It's going to go from 50 because 50 is closest to 50 because it is 50. And then it will next go on to 65 and then to 23, then 82, and then 100. Then we move on to case sensitive sort. By default, the sort method is case sensitive, resulting in all capital letters being sorted before lowercase letters. Case-sensitive sorting can give you unexpected results. This list equal to banana, orange, kiwi, and cherry. This list sort. So it's going to give us one answer, but it depends on which words are uppercase and which are lowercase. So here, we could think of it as two lists in one. So here, kiwi and orange, banana and cherry. If we were to actual alphabetical order, it would have been B, C, K, O. But here it says K, O, B, C. So we have two lists, one for uppercase and one for lowercase we could think of as. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K we have, and then no L, M, N, but we have an O. Now we have a new list for banana and cherry. So it would be B and C. Now I'm going to add apple. Okay, now it's going to give us first apple, then kiwi, then orange, then banana, and then cherry. So you guys understand. I think you guys get it. And now lucky we can use now we're lucky that we can use a built-in function as a key function when we are sorting a list. So if you want to create a case-sensitive sort function, use the string.lower as any key function. Perform a case-sensitive sort of the list. This list equals to banana, orange, kiwi, cherry, and then we're going to do string lower, and then we get lower before upper. But if you want to keep the upper, you're just going to write this list, this, all those things, this list sort, print this list. Now you can reverse the order. So not the alphabet, but from the back. Now, when we check what that is, it's going to be cherry, kiwi, orange, and then banana. Now, it's going to go in a reverse random order. In copy list, you're not allowed to copy a list simply by typing list 2 equal to list 1, because list 2 is only a reference to list 1, and changes made in list 1 automatically will be made in list 2. There are ways to make a copy. One is a built-in method called copy. So when you make a copy list, make a copy list with the copy method. Now, another way to make a copy is the list method. So it's going to make the same thing. You're just copying the list, and then this one is going to be the same thing as an apple, banana, and cherry again. Now, as we move on, okay, that was a short one. Now we will move on to join lists. In join lists, there are several ways to join or concatenate two or more lists in Python. One of the easiest ways using the add operator. So here's list 3 is list 1 and list 2 added together. List 1 is ABC, and then list 2 is 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be ABC, 1, 2, 3. ABC, 1, 2, 3. Now as we move down, we will find another way to join two lists is by appending all items from list 2 into list 1, one by one. So you may use a for loop and the keyword in to make this happen. You can write list 1 is ABC, list 2 is 1, 2, 3, for X in list 2, list 1 dot append X. Now print your list 1, it's going to be ABC, 1, 2, 3. So if you want to make a code with, you're writing a code and then you have to, you forgot to add something into the middle of a code or into the end of the code, but it's a very long code and you don't want to keep scrolling down. You can just write the list 1 and then make another list. Use the for in list 2 and then list 1 dot append X. For X in list 2, list 1 dot append X, print list 1, or you can use the extend method where you add the elements from one list to the other. Now we move on to tuples. Before we did list, I taught you guys something about the tuple lists, dictionaries, and sets. Now we will go to the tuple part of this code. This picture. Just kind of the data structure is called tuple. That's the name. And then we have it is ordered. It's not mutable, but the constructor is a round bracket. Or you may use tuple parenthesis. Now a round bracket is the same thing as parenthesis. I like saying parenthesis. An example is 5.7, 4, yes, 5.7. is list tuple dictionary sets. We have seen this one a lot before. Now we move on to the tuple part of it. Now we're going to go to the tuple part of it. It allows duplicate members. It's not changeable. It is ordered. Has round brackets as well. It has a few of the same things from the other picture. The other one, and a little something is that for a dictionary, you might be like, but if you have done coding before, you're like, the dictionary is ordered, and why does it say it's not ordered? If you said it is ordered, you are correct. A little something is that here it says in version 3.7 and up, it's ordered. And 3.6 and earlier, they're not ordered. So both of these show it before 3.6, versions 3.6 and earlier. Here in Python tuples, an example here is an example of tuple. You can create a tuple, but my tuple equal to apple, banana, and cherry. Tuples, you use round brackets or parentheses, you may call them. Tuples are used to store a lot of items, multiple items in a single variable. Now, a tuple is one of the 4 built-in data types in Python we have. We learned about the lists, we have sets and dictionaries that we will learn about later on. All of them have different qualities and usages. A tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. Tuples are written with parentheses, or you may call them round brackets. An example to create a tuple is you may call the tuple this tuple equal to apple, banana, cherry, parenthesis tuple. And tuple items. Tuple items are ordered, unchangeable, and allowed duplicate values. Tuple items are indexed. The first item has index of 0, the second item is 1, and etc. Ordered. When we say that tuples are ordered, it means that they have a defined order. The order will not change. Unchangeable. Tuples are unchangeable, meaning that they cannot change, add, or remove items after a tuple has been created. Allows duplicates. Since tuples are indexed, they can have items with the same value. Example, tuples allow duplicate values. This tuple equal to apple, banana, cherry, apple, banana, apple, cherry. Now, it's not going to give an error because it does allow duplicate members. Now on tuple length, to determine how many items a tuple has, use the len function. So let's say you have a very long list and your list is made up of hundreds of things, and you really want to see how much items you have in your list. You would use the len function. Now, create a tuple with one item. To create a tuple with only one item, you add a comma after one item, otherwise Python will not recognize it as a tuple. They're going to think that's a string, but they're going to think that one is a tuple. Right here is a tuple. If you are creating a tuple, don't forget your comma, or else it's going to say class string, not class tuple. And now tuple items. On data types. Tuple items can be of any data type. String, integer, boolean data types. A tuple contains different data types. We have strings, integers, booleans, more strings, more integers, and from Python's perspective, tuples are defined as objects with data type of tuple. Class tuple, like in string, but this one also has singular quotes. Now, an example of what is the data type of this tuple, it's going to say class tuple. Like here, it said class tuple class str or string, the tuple constructor. It's also possible to the tuple constructed to make a tuple. Date tuple. Tuples are unchangeable, meaning that you cannot change, add, or remove items once the tuple is created. But there is some workarounds. You may change the tuple values. Once a tuple is created, you cannot change it. But because tuples are unchangeable, or immutable, as it also called, but there's a workaround. You can convert a tuple into a list, change the list, and convert the list back into a tuple. So x equal to apple, banana, and cherry. Y equal to list x. Y1 equal to kiwi. X equal to tuple y. Now print x. It's going to print apple, kiwi, and cherry instead of apple, banana, cherry. Instead of only apple, kiwi, cherry, it's just apple, kiwi, cherry, blackberry, strawberry, blueberry, watermelon. Now, so the whole thing we just did is we just created a tuple, but then we turned it into a list, and then we changed the list because lists are changeable, and then converted it back into a tuple to make the tuple into something else. Now, to add items, since tuples are immutable, they do not have built-in append method, but there are other ways to add tuple. First, convert into a list, just like we did the workaround for changing a tuple. You convert it into a list, then you add your item or items, and then convert it back into a tuple. An example is that we just made a list, and then we made a tuple into a list, and then we added orange and then converted it back to tuple. Now we added tuple to a tuple. So you are allowed to add tuples to tuples. So if you want to add one item or many, create a new tuple with the items and then add it to existing tuple. Now an example is to create a new tuple with the value orange and add that tuple. As we said, we learned how to make a tuple that is only one item, and which is orange, and then comma, even though there's nothing after it. Because if we just did orange with the double quotes, it's going to think it's a string. Now a note is when we create tuple with only one item, remember to include a comma after the item, otherwise it will not be defined as a tuple, it will be defined as a string, is what I just told you guys. Now to remove items, you cannot remove an item into items in a tuple, because tuples are unchangeable, so you cannot remove an item. But you can use the same workaround used for changing and adding tuple items. Now, this workaround is the converting a tuple into a list, removing the apple, and then converting it back into a tuple. That is used for many, many things, or you can complete the tuple, like the whole tuple. So, let's move on. Now, as we move on, we learn about unpacking tuples. Unpacking a tuple. When we create a tuple, we normally assign values to it. This is called packing a tuple. Example, packing a tuple. Fruits equal to apple, banana, and cherry. That's a tuple. But in Python, we are also allowed to extract the values into a variable called unpacking. Unpacking a tuple is fruits, apple, banana, and cherry, green, yellow, and red equal to fruits. Print green, yellow, print green, print yellow, print red, which is apple, banana, and cherry. And I think they used apple as green because there are green apples, but they are sour. But they didn't do red or yellow apples because yellow was already taken by banana and red was already taken by cherry. And if they did the same thing for each one, the computer's going to get confused and don't know which one to print. So let's move on to using an asterisk. And using the asterisk is so if the number of the variable is less than the number of the values, you may add the asterisk to the variable name, and then the values will be assigned to the variable as a list. Now, if the asterisk is added to the other variable name, the Python will assign the values left matching the variables of the left. Now we'll add a list of the values, the tropic variable. Now we have green, which is apple, tropic, which is mango, papaya, and then red, which is cherry. Now here we have the asterisk before tropic, not red, which is the middle one. It's going to print mango, papaya, and pineapple because they're all tropical fruits. And apples are green and cherries are red. Now we move on to the loop tuples. Now you can loop through a tuple using the for loop. Iterate through the items and print the value. This tuple is equal to apple, banana, and cherry. For x in this tuple, print x. Now we will learn about the for loops later on in the for loop section. Looping through the index numbers. You can also loop through the tuple items by referring to their index numbers. Use the range and length function to create a suitable iterable. This tuple equal to apple, banana, cherry for I in range len to this tuple print this tuple I. And it's going to print apple, banana, and cherry. Now we move down to using a while loop. So now we have finished using our for loop for the tuple loop section or chapter. Now we will go on section of the chapter. Now we will go on to the while loop section of the chapter. Like we're gonna do to the for loop later on in my other videos when we move on to the while loop chapter, we will learn more about the while loop. So you can loop through the tuple by using a while loop. Now you have to use the len function to determine the length of the tuple. Then start at 0 and loop your way through the tuple referring to their indexes. And always remember that the first index is always 0. Now remember to increase the index by 1 after each iteration. Print all the items using a while loop to go through the index numbers. So we're going to learn more about the while loops in the while loop chapter. Now we're in Python join tuples. To join 2 or more tuples, you have to use the addition or the plus operator. And we learned about the operators in the Python operator. And if you don't remember that, or if you don't remember using the operators or learning about them, maybe you skipped it, or maybe you guys have forgotten it. And for both of those reasons, I would recommend for you guys to re-watch anything that you have forgotten. Now to multiply. Now we will check the Python join tuple. We've done join list and join strings, but now we are on join tuple. Now it's going to join ABC 1, 2, 3 like we did to our strings and to our lists. Now we move down to multiplying tuples. If you want to multiply the content of a tuple a given number of times, use the star operator. Multiply the fruit tuple by 2. Fruits equal to apple, banana, cherry. My tuple, fruits, asterisk 2, print my tuple. And then it's going to print the tuple twice in the same line. Now we move on to tuple methods. We finished the tuple. Now we're finally on Python sets. To congratulate yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. Now let's get started. So our set is used to store multiple items. A set is one of the 4 built-in data types, and the other 3 are the tuple, dictionary, and lists with different qualities and usages. A set is a collection which is unordered, unchangeable, and unindexed. Set items are unchangeable, but you can remove and add new items. Sets are written in curly brackets, and so are dictionaries. So, an example of a set is my set equal to apple, banana, and cherry, right up here. Now, an example to create a set is this one, which is this set equal to apple, banana, cherry, print this set. And it's going to print that set. Now, as we scroll down, sets are unordered, so you cannot be sure which order the items will appear in. Set items. Set items are unordered, unchangeable, and do not allow duplicate values. Unordered. Unordered means that set does not have a defined order. Items can be in different orders every time you use them and cannot be referred in an index or key. It's unchangeable. Set items are unchangeable, meaning they cannot be changed after they have been created. Once created, you cannot change an item, but you can remove items and add new items. Duplicates are not allowed. Sets cannot have the 2 items at the same value. An example. The first item is getting ignored. So in this one, it printed cherry, banana, apple. And now if we run that again, it's going to print it in a different. It's right now banana, apple, and cherry, but it was cherry, banana, and apple. So you can never be sure order it's going to go in because it does not have a defined order. And when you have 2 of the same items, one of the duplicates will be ignored. A note is that true and 1 are considered the same value in sets. They are treated as duplicates. So if we have true and 1, it's gonna only say true and 2 because 1 and true are like the same thing. Now we run that again. It's banana, true, 2, apple, cherry. Run that one more time. It's not gonna be banana, apple, cherry, true, 2. It's going to be cherry, 2, true, a banana, and apple. So that was another way of showing you guys that they have no specific order. Now we move on to get the length of a set. The set also has the built-in len function. An example is this list, apple, banana, cherry, print len this list. Set items and data types. Set items can be of any data type. Can be string, integer, boolean, data types. Now set 1 is apple, banana, cherry. Set 2 is 1, 5, 7, 9, 3. Now set 3 is true, false, false. And as we said, 1 and true is the same thing. That's why it took out one of the truths. So we go down, we can make them all in the same set. Now we can use the type method to see if it's set, to check if it's a tuple, list, and string. So as we try it on, it's gonna say set. it's going to say class set. Now, the set constructor is the same thing as the curly brackets. So instead of doing curly brackets, you can use set parenthesis also as a constructor. Then you're going to use double round brackets because we're using the set constructor. We also do that when we use the tuple constructor and in the list constructor. Now, as we go on to Python collection arrays, there are 4 collection data types in the Python programming language. Now, all 4 of them are the list, tuple, set, and dictionary. We are in the set chapter, and there are several ways to join 2 or more sets in Python. You can use a union method that returns a new set containing all items from both sets, or the update method that inserts all the items from one set to another. An example, the union method will return a new set with all the items from both sets. Set 1 ABC, set 2 1 2 3, set 3 equal to 1, set 1 point. Union set 2, print set 3. Example, the update method inserts the item in set 2 into set 1. Set 1 is ABC and set 2 is equal to 1 2 3. Set 1 update set 2, print set 1. Note, both union and update will exclude any duplicate items. Keep only the duplicates. The intersection update method will only keep items that are present on both sides. So, keep the items that exist on both X and Y. So we have apple, banana, and cherry, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. So there are 2 different apples, but they represent the same thing. So the first one is apple, and then the second one is banana and cherry, and the Google, Microsoft, and Apple. So they are different. So the first one are different fruits, and the second one is different brands, like for computer or phones or like something like that. So X dot intersection update Y print X, and it's gonna say apple because that's only in both of them. The rest are not the same in both of them. So the intersection method will return a new set that only contains items present on both sets. So the intersection update method is a mix of the update and intersection method. Intersection method is just the intersection method without no update. So the answer of this one would be the same as the intersection update one. Keep all but not the duplicates. The symmetric difference update is a mix of the difference, symmetric, and the update methods. And it's a mix of the symmetric and different with the update method. So this method will only keep the items that are not present in both sets. So the items should be banana, cherry, Microsoft, and Google. But as we said, so it's going to go in any random order. As we said, sets are unordered. So that's why it gave us an order which was Google, banana, Microsoft, and cherry. Or it could be Google, Microsoft, cherry, banana, or cherry, Google, Microsoft, banana, or cherry, Microsoft, Google, banana, or cherry, Google, banana, Microsoft, or Microsoft, Google. So now we have the symmetric difference method. This method will return a new set that contains only the methods that are both present, that are not present on both sides. Now note again, I said this before, but in the value is true and 1 are considered the same in sets and treated as duplicates. It's gonna only print, instead of true, it's just gonna print 2, Google, cherry, and banana. Start off with Python dictionaries. We have completed Python tuples, list, and sets. Now we're on Python dictionaries. Yay! Now our Python dictionary, an example of a Python dictionary is the stick. Brand is Ford, model is Mustang, and year is 1964. Dictionaries are used to store data values in key value pairs. A dictionary is a collection which is ordered changeable and does not allow duplicate. So in Python version 3.7, I say this a lot, in Python version 3.7, dictionaries are ordered. In the Python 3.6 and earlier, dictionaries are unordered. Now in Python items, the dictionaries are ordered and change does not allow duplicates. So we can't have 2 years, like 1996 and 2023. So changeable, we should know what all these words mean by now. Ordered and unordered, changeable, and duplicates not allowed, since we have learned about them in the sets, tuples, and lists. So you can't be changed. Unchangeable is not changeable, but this one is changeable, so it can be changed. So what we mean by change is like add, remove different items, and change the values of the items. Ordered and unordered means ordered or unordered. Now it is ordered for us. Probably you guys is also ordered, but if you guys got Python 3.6 and earlier, you guys have unordered dictionaries. And if you guys got an unordered dictionary, I would recommend for you guys to real quickly pause the video, go and re-download your Python, but this time get your latest version, your newest one, fresh new ones. Now, as we move on, duplicates are not allowed, and if there are duplicates, the duplicate values will overwrite existing values. So it's going to choose one of the duplicates and then print that one. Now, as we move on, we have dictionary length. To determine how many items a dictionary has, we use the len function. We have used the len function for all 4 of these built-in data types. Now, an example of using the len function, if you use the len function, it should say 3, because we only have 3, because they will not count this one, but they will count everything except for this one. So it's going to count this one, and these 2. Now, an example to print the data type of a dictionary, you use the dictionary. From the Python's perspective, dictionaries are defined as objects with a data type with singular quotes. Dictionary prints the data type of the dictionary. The dict constructor. So you can also use the constructor as dict parentheses, or you may use the curly brackets like we do in sets. So now we move down. Sets items are unchangeable, but you can remove and or add items whenever you would like. As in Python, as we said, it's the earlier ones, so Python 3.6 and earlier are unordered, and over that are ordered. What is the output of the first code in Python access dictionary items? Yay! So let's get started. You can access the items of a dictionary by referring to its key name. Inside square brackets, not curly brackets, not round brackets, but square brackets. The first thing is it's gonna just become the model. You're just printing out the model. Then we move on, and there is another way to get the model. You use the get method. The get method here is get So this dictionary.get model print X. Now it's going to print that. Now to get keys, the keys method will return all of the keys in the dictionary. So there's the keys. So this dictionary X equal to this dictionary keys print X, and it has the brand, model, and year. If you want to add a new item to the original dictionary, the keys get updated as well. And so we here have the Ford Mustang 1964. X equal to car.keys, and then print X. Now that's before change. And here it prints the model, the brand, model, and year. Now here we have, they added the car and then added the color equal to white. Now they have the color for the second one. So print X after the first change. Now they have another change. Car, make one called the county, and the county is Fairfax. Print X after the second change, and it's gonna print brand, model, year, color, county. We go to the value. The values method will return a list of the values in the dictionary. You have Ford Mustang 1964. So add a new item to the original dictionary. The value list also gets updated. And then the get items. The items method will return each item in a dictionary as a tuple in a list. And the list is a view of the items in a dictionary, meaning that any changes can be done to the dictionary will be reflected in the item list. Check if keys exist. To determine if a specified key is present in the dictionary, use in keyword. Check if the model is present in dictionary. If model is in this dictionary, print yes, models is one of the keys in this dictionary. Change dictionary items. Change values. If you want to change the value of a specified item by referring to its key name. An example. So the output of this code is going to be brand is Ford, model is Mustang, and year is 2018. So as we move on, here it just said change the year to 2018. Now to update the dictionary, use the update method. The update method will update the dictionary with the items that are given an argument. The argument must be a dictionary or an iterable object with keys value pairs. Adding items. To add an item to the dictionary, you use a new index key and you have to assign a value to it. An example is this. It's brand is Ford, model is Mustang, and the year is 1964, and the color is red. So we'll go on to remove items. Now to remove an item from a dictionary, there are several methods to do that. To do so. Now number one to do so is the pop method. The pop method removes an item with a specified key name. The pop item method removes the last inserted item, and versions before 3.7, a random item was removed instead. And then we have del. The del keyword will remove an item with a specified name, like the pop method. Now the del keyword can also delete the dictionary completely. Now the cleared method empties the dictionary. Now you loop through dictionaries. You can loop through a dictionary by using a for loop. When looping through, the return value of the keys of the dictionary, the return value are the keys of the dictionary, but there are methods that will return the values as well. Print all key name in the dictionary one by one. For X in this dictionary, print X. So you have this dictionary, then we have our for loop, and then it's going to print brand, model, and year only. Then print all the values in the dictionary one by one. You have your dictionary and then your for loop, but this for loop is for X in this dictionary, print this dictionary X. You can also use the values method to return the values of a dictionary. You can use the keys method to return the keys of a dictionary, and you can loop through both keys and values using the item method. Copy a dictionary. You cannot copy a dictionary simply by typing dictionary 2 equal to dictionary 1, because dictionary 2 is only a reference to dictionary 1, and changes made in dictionary 1 will also automatically be made in dictionary 2. There are several ways to copy. One is to use the built-in dictionary method, copy. Example, make a copy of the dictionary method using dictionary with the copy method. Another way is a built-in function dict or dictionary parenthesis. Then we have Python nested dictionaries. Nested dictionaries. A dictionary can contain dictionaries. This is called a nested dictionary. Create a dictionary that contains 3 dictionaries. Or if you want to add 3 dictionaries into a new dictionary, create 3 dictionaries, then create 1 dictionary that will contain all 3 dictionaries. Access items in nested dictionaries. To access items from a nested dictionary, you can use the name of dictionaries starting with the outer dictionary. Start off with our Python if-else statement. Since we now just finished our dictionary and we have learned about all the data types, which include list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Now, we will start off with Python condition and if statement. So Python supports the usual logical conditions from mathematics, like the equals, not equal, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. These conditions can be used in several ways, most commonly in if statement and loops. An if statement is written by using the if keyword in our keywords. So we have done something like this before. Indentation. Python realizes on an indentation, white space at the beginning of a line, to define a scoop of code. Other programming languages often use curly brackets for this purpose. If statement without an indentation, it will raise an error. The elif keyword is Python's way of saying, if the previous condition were not true, try this condition. The if-else statement is in between if and else. So let's say we have an if statement and an else statement, and now both conditions were not true. We would have an if-else statement as our last condition and see if that condition is true. In this example up here, it has a is equal to 33, b is also equal to 33. If b is greater than a, print b is greater than a. Elif, print b and a are equal. In this example, a is equal to b, so the first condition is not true, but the elif condition is true. So we would print this on the screen, a and b are equal. Now we have the else keyword that catches anything that wasn't caught by the preceding conditions. In this example, a is greater than b, so the first condition is not true. Also, the elif condition is not true. We would go to the else condition, so we can print on the screen that a is greater than b. You can have the else without an elif. Right here, we have 233 again, but this one is switched. If b is greater than a, print b is greater than a, else print b is not greater than a. Now the shorthand if. If you only have one statement to execute, you can put it on the same line as the if statement. If a is greater than b, print a is greater than b. But you would also always have to put the variable on top. You can't put the variable in the same line code. So we have the a variable and the b variable, and then you have to put one empty line, one empty row, and then put the if statement. The shorthand if-else. If you only have one statement to execute, one for if and one for else, you can put them on the same line. A is equal to 2, b is equal to 330. If print a, if a is greater than b, else print b. Now, as we all know, that b is greater than a, so it would print b. This technique is known as the ternary operators or the conditional expressions. You can have multiple if statements on the same line. One line if-else statement with 3 conditions. The AND keyword is a logical operator and is used to combine conditional statements. Test if A is greater than B and C is greater than A. Or the OR keyword is a logical operator and is used to combine conditional statements. An example is test if A is greater than B or if A is greater than C. The NOT keyword is a logical operator and is used to reverse the result of the conditional statement. Test if A is not greater than B. Nested if. You can have an if statement inside an if statement. This is called the nested if statement. X equals to 41. If X is greater than 10, print above 10. If X is greater than 20, print also above 20. Else print not above 20. So Python has 2 primitive loop commands. So we're right now on while loops. So Python has 2 primitive loop commands that we're going to be learning about. So the while loop. With the while loop, we can execute a set of statements as long as a condition is true. So we have used loops before in our data structures and many other chapters here in Python. So let's dig even deeper into the secrets on while loops. Let's start. We have print I as long as I is less than 6. Now we have I is equal to 1. So we're using the while loop. While I is less than 6, print I plus equal to 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6 is greater than 5. So that means 6 would be greater, and we only want the numbers less than 1. Less than 6. Remember to increase I, or else the loop will continue forever. The while loop requires relevant variables to be ready. In this example, we need to define an indexing variable I, which is set to 1. To break the statement, we use the break statement. Not really a method with the break statement. We can stop the loop even if the while condition is true. The break statement can stop a loop even if the condition is true. The continue statement. The continue statement can stop the current iteration and continue it with the next. Continue to the next iteration if I is 3. The else statement. With the else statement, we can run a block of code of once when the condition is no longer true. We'll move on to for loops. And in Python for loops, a for loop is used for iteration over a sequence that is either a list, tuple, dictionary, set, or string. This is like the for keyword in other programming languages and works more like an iterator method as found in other object-oriented programming languages. With the for loop, we can execute a set of statements, once for each item in a list, tuple, set, etc. We have done that before in our dictionary, set, tuple, and list chapters. We have done this piece of code before for each one. The for loop does not require an indexing variable to set beforehand. Looping through a string. Even strings are iterable objects. They can contain a sequence of characters. So with a break statement, we can stop a loop before it has been looped through all the items. So an example, so this is the question we had last class, and the output of this code is going to be apple and banana because the break is after so that means it's going to break after it prints those two. Because I think they're only going to break the cherry because we already printed the banana. Then there's the next one, which is the same thing, but the break is before the print. So the output of this one's code is going to be just apple because it breaks the banana area before the print. We move down to the continue statement. With the continue statement, we can Stop the current iteration of the loop and continue with the next. Example, do not print banana. The range function. Loop through the set of code a specified number of times. We can use the range function. The range function returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default, and increment by 1 by default, and ends at the specified number. Use the range function. For x in range 6, print x. It's going to print till 6. So it doesn't necessarily print 6, because 6 is going to be the max, and it's going to print until 5. Now we're going to learn about the pass statement. So as we learned, as we saw during the for loop section, we have not seen any for loops that have no content or anything in them. But I believe we learned that for loops cannot be empty. But if somehow you have a for loop with no content, you can use a pass statement to avoid getting an error. So the output of this code is going to be nothing, because here in the comment it says having an empty for loop like this would raise an error without the pass statement. So here's an example without the pass statement. It's going to give us an error right now, but if we add the pass statement, it's not going to give us an error. Now let's move on to Python functions. So a function is a block of code which only runs when it's called. You can pass data known as parameter into a function. A function can return data as a result. Creating a function. In Python, functions are defined using the def keyword. Calling a function. To call a function, use the function name followed by the parentheses. Def my function, print hello world, hello from a function, my function. Now, arguments. Information can be passed into a function as arguments. Arguments are specified after a function name. Inside the parentheses, you may add as many arguments as you want. Just separate them with a comma. The following example has a function with one argument, fname. When the function is called, we pass along the first name, which is inside the function, to print full name. Diff my function. Print fname plus roughness, my function, ml, tobus, and linus. So it's going to print ml, roughness, tobus, roughness, and linus roughness. Parameters or arguments. The term of parameter and argument can be used for the same thing. Information passed onto a function. The function's perspective. A parameter is a variable listed inside the parentheses called, in the function definition. An argument is the value that has been sent to the function when it was called, or it is called. Number of arguments. By default, a function must be called the correct number of arguments. That means if your function expects 2 arguments to have to call the function with 2 arguments, not more, not less. Function expects 2 arguments and gets 2 arguments. If you try to call a function with 1 or 3 arguments, you will get an error. Now, arbitrary arguments or args. If you do not know how many arguments that are passed into your function, add a star, if you want to call it, or an asterisk before the parameter name in the function definition. This way, the function will receive a tuple of arguments and can access them accordingly. Example, if the number of argument is unknown, add a asterisk or star before the parameter name. Def my function, asterisk kids. Print the youngest child is kid 2, because it is ordered and it has an index with starting as 0 in Python. So the youngest child is kid 2. Python. My function, Emil, Tobias, Linus. So the youngest child is Linus. Arbitrary arguments are often shortened as *arg in Python documentations. Keyword argument. You can also send an argument with the key equal value syntax. This way, the order of arguments does not matter. An example, def my function, child 3, child 2, child 1. The youngest child is child 3. My function, child 1 is ML, child 2 is Tobias, child 3 is Linus. Now the phrase keyword arguments are often shortened as quargs in Python documentation. Arbitrary keyword arguments. 2 asterisks, double asterisks, quargs, or double star quargs. If you do not know how many keyword arguments that are passed on to your function, you add 2 asterisks or 2 stars before the parameter name in the function definition. This way, the function will receive a dictionary of arguments and it can access them accordingly. The following example shows how to use default parameter value. If we call the function without argument, it uses a default value. And so the example is def my function country equal to Norway, print I am from country, my function Sweden, my function India, my function blank, my function Brazil. So in all of these, you have, so the empty one is for Norway. Now it's going to print I am from Sweden, I am from India, I am from Norway, I am from Brazil. Passing a list as an argument. You can send any data types of arguments to a function, string, number, list, dictionary, etc. And it will be treated as the same data type inside the function. Return values. To let a function use the return to let a function return a value, use a return statement. The pass statement. Function definition cannot be empty, but if you, for some reason, have a function definition with no content, put the pass statement to avoid getting an error. Recursion. Python also accepts function recursions, which means a defined function can call itself. Recursions is a common mathematical and programming concept. It means that a function calls itself. So this has a benefit of meaning that you can loop through data to reach a result. But you should be very careful with the recursion, as it can be quite easy to slip into a writing function which never terminates, or one that uses excess amount of memory or processor power. However, when written correctly, recursion can be very efficient and mathematically elegant approach to programming. Now we move on to Python lambda. A lambda function is a small anonymous function. A lambda function can take any number of arguments but can only have one expression. So the syntax for lambda arguments. Expression. The expression is executed and the result is returned. An example is add 10 to the argument a and return the result. X equal to lambda a colon a plus 10, print x 5. So the output's going to be 15 because a would equal to 5, and then because it's saying x is equal to 5. So because 5 plus 10 is going to be 15. Lambda functions can take any number of arguments. It can take a lot of arguments. Why use lambda functions? The power of lambda is better shown when you use them as an anonymous function instead of another function. Or use the same function definition to make a function that always triples the number you send it in. Or use the same function definition to make both functions in the same program. Use lambda functions when an anonymous function is required for a short period of time. Python arrays. No, Python does not have built-in support for arrays, but Python lists can be used instead. So we have learned about Python lists in the previous chapter. So arrays are used to store multiple values in one single variable. Cars equal to Ford, Volvo, BMW. What is an array? An array is a special variable which can hold more than one value at one time. If you have a list of items, a list of car names, for example, storing the cars in single variables could look like this. Car 1 equal to Ford, car 2 equal to Volvo, car 3 equal to BMW. However, what if you want to loop through the cars and find a specific one? And what if you had not 3 cars but 300? The solution is an array. An array can hold many values under one single name. You can access the values by referring to the index number. You refer to an array element by referring to the index number. As we learned before, that always in Python, the index number starts with 0. So the number 1 is going to be 0, number 2 is going to be 1, number 3 is going to be 2. So in this one here, this is in Python, this would be car number 0, car number 1, and car number 2. So it's one number less. The length of an array. Use the len function. We have used the len function many times before. So use the len method to return the length of an array. Note, the length of an array is always one more than the highest array index. Looping through array elements. You can use the for-in loop to loop through all the elements of an array. Adding array elements. You can use the append method to add an element to array. Removing array elements. You can use the pop, the remove methods. They both remove an element, just an element from the array. But in the remove method, you can use the name, and in the pop method, you use a number. So we ended Python arrays. Now we're on Python classes and objects. So Python classes and objects. Python is an object-oriented programming language. Almost everything is in Python is an object with its properties and methods. A class is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating objects. Create a class. To create a class, you use the keyword class. Create a class named myClass with a property named x. So here, this code, it says class myClass, x equal to 5. So now we move on to, now we're going to learn to create an object. Now we can use a class named myClass to create object. An example, create an object named P1, then print the value of x. So P1 equal to myClass, print P1.x, the init function. The examples above and the objects in their simplest form are not really useful in real-life applications. To understand the meaning of classes, we have to understand the built-in init function. All classes have a function called init, which is always executed when the class is being initiated. Use the init function to assign values to object properties or other operations that are necessary to do when the object is being created. Class name person. Use init function to assign values for the name and age. We have it right here. It says class person, def, init, self, name, and age. Self.name equal to name, self.age equal to age. P1 equal to person, and then we have John, 36. Then print P1.name and P1.age. And it's going to print us John 36. Note is the init function is called automatically every time the class is being used to create a new object. The stir function. We all know that the stir function stands for string. So the stir function controls what should be returned when the class object is represented as a string. If the stir function is not set, the string representation of the object is returned. The string representation without the stir function. Class person def int self name and age self.name equal to name self.age equal to age P1 equal to person John 36 P1 print P1 the main person object at that. So it's like, it's not giving us an error, but it's not printing out the exact name we wanted to print out. But with the stir function, we have John, brackets, and then 36. Object methods. Objects can also contain methods. Methods in objects are functions that belong to the object. Let us create a method in the person class. An example. Insert a function that prints a greeting and execute it on the P1 object. Note, the self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class and is used to access variables that belong to the class. The self parameter. The self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class, and it uses access variables that belong to the class. It does not have to be named self. You can call it whatever you would like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function in a class. Use the words mySillyObject and ABC instead of self. Init mySillyObject name and age. MySillyObject.name equal to name. MySillyObject.age equal to age. Def my function ABC. Print hello, my name is ABC.name. P1 equal to person John at 36. P1.myFunction. You can modify properties on an object like this. Set an age of P1 to 40 so you can delete the objects or the properties with the del keyword. The pass statement is going to be used to avoid an error, because if you have a class without any content, put the pass statement. Now let's move on to Python inheritance. Python inheritance allows us to define a class that inherits all the methods and properties from another class. Parent class is a class being inherited from also the base class. The child class is the class that inherits from another class, also called the diverted class. Create a parent class. Any class can be a parent class, so the syntax is the same as creating any other class. Create a class named person with the first name and the last name properties and a print name method. Create a child class. To create a child class that inherits the functionality from another class, set the parent class as a parameter when creating the child class. Note, the pass keyword. Use the pass keyword when you do not want to add other properties or methods to the class. Now the student class has the same properties and methods as the person class. Add the init function. So far we have created a child class that inherits the properties and methods from its parent. We want to add the init function to the child class instead of the pass keyword. The init function is called automatically every time the class is being used to create a new object. Add the init function to the student class. When you add the init function, the child class will no longer inherit the parent's init function. The child's init function overrides the inheritance of the parent's init function. To keep the inheritance of the parent's init function, add a call to the parent's init function. Now we've successfully added the init function and kept the inheritance of the parent class, and we are ready to add functionality in the init function. The super function. Python also has a super function that will make the child class inherit all the methods and properties from its parent. By using the super function, you do not have to use the name of the parent element. It will automatically inherit the methods and the properties from its parent. In the example below, the year 2019 should be a variable and passed into the student class when creating student objects. To do so, add another parameter in the init function. Add a year parameter and pass the correct year when creating an object. Add methods. Add a method called welcome to the student class. If you add a method in the child class with the same name as a function in the parent class, the inheritance of the parent class method will be overridden. Python iterators. An iterator is an object that contains a countable number of values. An iterator is an object that can be iterated upon, meaning that you can traverse through all the values. Technically, in Python, an iterator is an object which implements the iterator protocol, which consists of methods of iter and next. Iterator versus iterable. List tuple dictionaries and sets have iterable objects. They are iterable containers which you can get an iterator from. All these objects have an iter method, which is used to get the iterator. Even strings are iterable objects, and you can return an iterator. Strings are also iterable objects containing a sequence of characters. Looping through an iterator. You can use the for loop to iterate through the iterable objects. The for loop actually creates an iterator object and executes it to the next method for each loop. Create an iterator. To create an object/class as an iterator, you have to use the methods iter and next to your objects. As you learned in Python classes/objects chapter, all classes have a function called init, which allows you to do some initializing when the object is created. The iter method is similar. You can do operations, initializing, and etc., but must always return the iterated object itself. The next method also allows you to do operations and must return the next item in the sequence. The stop iteration. So an example above would continue forever. So they're talking about this example right here. If you had enough next statements, or if it was used in a for loop. To prevent an iteration from going forever, we can use stop iteration statement. In the next method, we can add the terminating condition to raise an error if the iteration is done a specified number of times. Python polymorphism. And if you check a dictionary, the word polymorphism means many forms. And in programming, it refers to the methods, functions, and operators with the same name that can be executed on many objects or classes. The function polymorphism. An example of a Python function that can be used on a different object is the len function. So for strings, the len function returns a number of characters. In tuples, the len function returns the number of items that are in the tuple. For dictionaries, the len function returns the number of key value pairs in the dictionary. So class polymorphism is often used in class method, where we have multiple classes in the same method name. For example, let's say these three classes, car, boat, and plane, all are in the method of move. In this example right here, it's mostly showing us a category, which is move, so a vehicle that moves, and different vehicles. So we could have added more. Like this one has boat, car, and plane that go into the method here, move. And here it's going to show us what the cars are. A Ford, a Mustang, a boat, an Ibiza, and the Touring 20. So it's showing us a model and the type of the thing we're talking about, the car, boat, or plane. So that's what this code is about. So look at for the loop at the end, because polymorphism can execute the same method for all three classes. So we have a for loop right here at the end, and it's right now executing all three of the classes. So inheritance class polymorphism. What about classes with child classes with the same name? Can we use polymorphism there? Yes. If we use the example above to make a parent class called vehicle and make car, boat, and plane child classes of the vehicle, the child classes inherits the vehicle method but can override them. So let's say the vehicle is a tree and the car, boat, and plane are the branches that go out that are created in the tree. So the child classes inherits the properties and methods from the parent class. In example above, you can see car class is M, and we use the pass statement to not get an error. But it does inherit the brand, model, and the move from the vehicle. The boat and plane classes also inherit the brand, model, and move from the vehicle, but they both can override the move method. Because of polymorphism, we can execute the same method for all classes. Now we're going to move on to Python scope. A variable is only available from inside the region it is created. This is called the scope. Local scope. A variable created inside a function belongs to the local scope of that function and can be only used inside that function. A variable created inside a function is available inside that function. Function inside a function. As explained in the example above, the variable x is not outside of the function, but it will be available for any function inside the function. So the local variable can be accessed from a function within a function. Global scope. A variable created in the main body of the Python code is a global variable and belongs to the global scope. The global variable are available from any scope, global and local. Naming variables. If you operate the same variable name inside and outside of the function, Python will treat them as two separate variables, one available in the global scope outside the function and one available inside in the local scope. The global keyword. If you need to create a global variable but are stuck with a local scope, you use a global keyword. The global keyword makes a variable global. Also use a global keyword if you want to make a change in a global variable inside. So you can also use the global keyword if you want to make a local scope into a global variable. And now let's move on to Python modules. What is a module? Consider a module as the same thing as a code library, a file containing a set of functions you want to include in your application. To create a module, just save the code you want in a file with the file extension .py. Here it's saving the code in the file named mymodule.py. Use a module. Now you can use a module we just created by using the import statement. When you are using a function from a module, use the syntax module underscore name dot function underscore name. Variables in a module. The module can contain functions as already described, but also variables of all types. Arrays, dictionary, objects / classes are like sets, tuples, etc. Save this code in the file mymodule.py. Import the module name mymodule and access the person1 in the dictionary. Naming a module. You can name a module file whatever you would like, but it must have a file extension .py. Renaming a module. You can create an alias when you import a module by using the as keyword. Built-in modules. There are several built-in modules in Python which you can import whenever you like. Import and use the platform module. Using the dir function. There is a built-in function to list all the function names or variable names in the module, the dir or the dir function. The dir function can be used on all modules, also the ones you created yourself. Import from module. You can choose to import only parts from a module by using the from keyword. A note to self is when importing using the from keyword, do not use the module name when referring to the element. Example, person1 age, not mymodule.person1 age. So don't add the mymodule dot to it. Now let's move to dates, Python dates. So a date in Python is not a data type on its own, but we can import a module named datetime to work with dates and date objects. So import the datetime module to display the current date. So they use the datetime module for now in this code, and yes, it is. If you go on to this right now, you will see your current date, but this is mine. So the date output. When we execute the code from the example above, the results will be 2023 11/06. So the date contains the year, the month, the day, the hour, and the minute, the seconds, and the microseconds. The datetime module has many methods to return the information about date object. Here are a few examples. You will learn about them later in this chapter. Return the year and the name of the weekday. Creating a date object. To create a date, we use the datetime class constructor of the datetime module. The datetime class requires 3 parameters to create a date: the year, the month, the day. Create a date object. The datetime class also takes parameter from the time zone, hour, minute, second, microsecond, and t-zone. But they are optional and has a default value of 0, none for time zone. The strf time method. The datetime object has a method for formatting date objects into readable strings. This method is called the strf time and can take one parameter from format to specify the format and return a string. Python math chapter. So here is Python math. So Python is a set in built-in functions, including the extensive math module that allows you to perform mathematical tasks on numbers. Built-in math function. The min and max functions can be used to find the lowest or highest value in the iterable. We have learned what iterables and iterators are, so you should know what they are by now. So here in this example, it's going to show us the minimum, or the min of 5, 10, or 25, and the maximum of 5, 10, and 25. So it should print out 5 and 25. The abs function returns the absolute positive value of the specified number. The powxy function returns the value of x to the power of y. So x to the power of y. You probably know what that is. So return the value of 4 to the power of 3, which is the same as 4 times 4 times 4. And here in Python, we do not use like the x looking mark. For times, we use the asterisk, also known as the star. The math module. Python also has a built-in module called math, which extends a list of mathematical functions to use it. You must import math module. We have learned about modules in our previous lesson. So when you have imported the math module, you can start using methods and constants of the module, the math.sqrt method. For example, returns the square root of the number. So SQ stands for square and RT stands for root. The math cell method rounds up the number upwards to its nearest integer, and the math floor rounds down to the nearest integer and returns a result. The math.py returns the value of pi, 3.14, and so on and so on. So here there is a math module reference chapter. Here are the math methods from all the math methods that are in Python. Click on the link and it will get you to here. Also, some math constants that you will see. Now, let's move on to Python JSON. JSON. JSON is a syntax for storing the exchanging data. JSON is a text written with JavaScript's object notation. JSON in Python. Python has a built-in package called JSON, which can be used to work with JSON data. Praise JSON, convert from JSON to Python. If you have a JSON string, you can praise it by using the JSON.loads method and convert the JSON to Python. Convert Python into JSON. If you want to convert a Python object into a JSON string, you can use the JSON.jumps method. You can convert Python objects of the following types into JSON strings. The dictionaries, list, tuples, strings, integers, float, true, false, like the booleans, or the none. When you convert from Python to JSON, Python objects are converted into JavaScript, into the JSON or JavaScript equivalent. So Python, the dictionaries will go into objects, lists will go into arrays, tuples will also go into arrays, strings are going to stay as a string, the integers are going to be a number, the float are also going to stay a number, and the true is going to stay true, the false is going to stay false, and the none will become null. Null. So to format the result, the example above, let's check out this one, prints a JSON string, but not easy to read, with no indentation, and line breaks. The JSON.jump method has parameters to make it easy to read the result. You can also define the separators default by double quotes, comma, double quotes, comma, double quotes, colon, double quotes. So use the separator parameter to change the default separator. Order the result. The JSON.dump method has a parameter to order the keys to the result. Now we will move on to Python regex. A regex, or regular expression, is a sequence of characters that forms a search pattern. Regex can be used to check if a string contains the specified search pattern. Python has a built-in package called re, which can be used to work with the regular expressions. Import re module. Regex in Python. Regular expressions in Python. When you have imported the re module, you can start using regular expressions. The regular expression function. The re module offers a set of functions that will allow us to search a string for a match. Find all, which returns a list containing all the matches. Search, which returns a match object. If there's a match anywhere in the string. The split method returns a list where the string has been split at each match. The sum replaces one or many matches with a string. The meta characters are characters with a special meaning. So the square brackets are a set of characters, and the slash signals a special sequence. It can be also used to escape special characters. The period is any character except new line characters. The dollar signal ends with, it means ends with, and so on and so on. There are special sequences as well. A special sequence is a slash followed by another character in the list below. It has a special meaning. Sets. A set is a set of characters inside a pair of square brackets with a special meaning. So there's many that goes on. The find all function returns a list containing all matches. The list contains the matches in order they are found. If no matches are found, the list is returned empty. The search function. The search function searches the string for math and returns match objects if there's a match. If no match is found, the value none is returned. The split function. The split function returns a list where the string has been split at each match. You can control the number of occurrences by specifying the max split parameter. The sum function replaces the matches with the text of your choice. You can control the number of replacement by specifying the count parameter. A match object is an object containing information about the search and the result. Now, if there is no match, the value none will be returned instead of match object. Match objects has properties and methods to retrieve information about the search and the result. The span method returns a tuple containing the start and end position of the match. The string returns a string passed into the function. The group method returns a part of the string where there was a match. Note to self, if there is no match, the value none will be returned instead of match object. Now we move on to Python pip. So what is PIP or pip? PIP is a package manager for Python packages or modules if you like. If you have a Python version 3.4 or later, Python is included by default. What is a package? A package contains all the files you need for a module. Modules are Python code libraries that you include in your project. Check if pip is installed. Navigate your command line and the location of the Python script directory and type the following. So, if you do not have pip installed, you probably do, because pip or PIP is already installed regularly by default in 3.4 or later. To download to install pip, you can download and install it from the website that it gives you, https://pypi.org/project/pip/. Download a package. Downloading a package is very easy. Open the command line interface and tell pip to download the package you want. Now you have installed your first package using a package. Once a package is installed, it is ready to use. Import camel case package into your project. Find a package. Find more package at the https://pypi.org/period. Remove a package. Use the uninstall command and remove the package. Press Y and the package will be removed. Use the list command to list all the packages installed on your system. Try and accept for Python. Python try and accept. The try block, and what it is the try block lets you test a block of code from errors. The accept block lets you handle the error. The else block lets you execute the code when there's no error. The finally block lets you execute the code regardless of the result of the try and accept blocks. Exception handling. When an error occurs, or exception as we call it in Python, Python will normally stop and generate an error message. These exceptions can be handled by using the try statement. Since the try block raises an error, the accept block will be executed. Without the try block, the program will crash and raise an error. Many exceptions. You can define as many exception blocks as you want. If you want to execute a special block of code for a special kind of error, you may use as many you want. So here in this example, it says print one message if the try block raises an error, a name error, and another for other error. Here it gives us an error, but not really much of an error. The try block will generate a name error because X is not defined. Try, print X, except, name error, print variable is not defined, except, print something else went wrong. If we define the X as in a 5, instead of printing variable X is not defined, it will print only 5. So if we add a definition to the variable X, it's going to print a 5 like it does now. Let's move on to the else. The else keyword defines a block of code that is executed if no errors were raised. So we have learned about the else keyword in our if-else Python chapter. The finally block is specified will be executed regardless if the try block raises an error or not. This can be useful to close objects and clean up resources. The program can continue without leaving the file object open. Raise an exception. As a Python developer, you can choose to throw an exception if a condition occurs. To throw or raise an exception, use the raise keyword. The raise keyword is used to raise an exception. You can define what kind of error to raise and the text to print to the user. Now we move on to user input. Python allows for user input. That means that we are able to ask the user for an input. The method is built a bit different in Python version 3.6 than 2.7. 3.6 uses the input method. 2.7 uses the raw input method. The following example for the username, and when you enter the username, it gets printed on the screen. Python stops executing when it comes to an input function and continues when the user has given us some input. So Python string formatting. To make sure a string will display as expected, we use a format. We can format the result with the format method. String format. The format method allows you to format selected parts of the string. Sometimes there are parts of a text that you cannot control. Maybe they come from database or user input. To control such values, add placeholders, which are curly brackets, in the text and run the values through the format method. You can add parameters inside curly brackets to specify to convert the value. Multiple values. If you want to use more values, just add more values to the format method. Add more placeholders as well. Index number. You can use index number, a number inside curly brackets, to be sure that the values are placed in the correct placeholder. Also, if you want to refer to the same value more than once, use the index number, named indexes. You can also use named indexes by entering the name inside the curly brackets, car name, but you must use when you pass the parameter values text.format car name equal to 4. Here is the code. The example is my order equal to I have a car name. It is a model. So we put the curly brackets for car name and model. So we're going to print my order dot format car name equal to Ford, model equal to Mustang. So it's going to print I have a Ford. It is a Mustang. This is the end of our video, and this is from 1 to all 35 videos smushed into one. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Also, if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, share, and turn on your notification bells. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.